Thanks for joining us for CBN News Midday. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Heather Sells. Topping our news in Japan, explosions at 3 nuclear reactors and fire at a 4th have created another crisis. It is on top of the earthquake and tsunami that have killed at least 2,700 people so far. Those living near a nuclear power plant in Japan's northeast are staying inside to protect themselves from dangerous levels of radiation. John Jessup has the latest.
Today's fire at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant complex in northeast Japan caused a spike in radiation levels, prompting warnings of radiation readings that could, quote, impact human life. Japan's prime minister acknowledged the possibility of further leakage and warned residents within 20 miles of the plant to stay indoors. 70,000 people have already been evacuated. Some are taking refuge in a nearby city where they're being tested for exposure. This 63-year-old evacuee says nuclear power is the most frightening thing, even more than a tsunami. Even residents in Tokyo, 170 miles away, are worried. This woman, a Japanese translator from Slovakia, brought her children with her to Tokyo. She says, "We had no other choice but to leave. I'm worried about air pollution." This man says even though officials say there's no need to worry because of the scale of the leak and Tokyo's distance from the power plant, I wonder whether they're telling the truth. The crisis in Japan isn't only taking a toll on the victims, but also the country's economy. Japanese stocks nosedived 11% in Tuesday's trading, sending other Asian markets in a tumble as well. This week's losses have sent the Nikkei spiraling downward 20% since the beginning of the year. Damage estimates are now close to $200 billion, and concerns about more aftershocks and the destruction that follows could send that price tag much higher.
Apparently, even after half a day, the fire has not been put out.
But the human toll is harder to measure. Officials believe at least 10,000 people have been killed, and millions have spent days in the cold with little food or water. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, meeting with her Japanese counterpart in Paris today, offered the United States condolence and solidarity.
Japan is always a very generous donor to any disaster anywhere in the world. And today the world comes together to support Japan in its hour of need.
John Jessup, CBN News.
There is some good news to report today. Rescuers have found 2 survivors in the ruins from Japan's earthquake and tsunami. They pulled a 70-year-old woman from her toppled home. Rescuers also pulled another survivor, a man in his 20s, from a building farther down the coast.
David Darg of Operation Blessing is on his way to the city of Sendai, which is near the epicenter of the quake. David is taking food and water to help the survivors, and CBN News spoke with him by phone from Japan earlier today about the desperate situation there.
Supplies have been running out in the quake areas. People have been surviving on the food they had available, and the stores are completely empty now, so there's a lot of need for food and water especially. And so that's going to be a focus of Operation Blessing, just getting food and water up to the affected population. And things have been made much more difficult with the threat of the nuclear fallout. The tension has created sort of a hysteria where people have been hoarding supplies, and that's why the shops have been emptied in Tokyo. The Christian church is fully mobilized here in Japan, and Operation Blessing will be working with local churches to empower them to be able to reach out to the communities. So people could just be praying that the church is really strengthened through this, that they're able to be a blessing to the people.
The Christian humanitarian agency World Vision also sent a team to Sendai, and we spoke by Skype with World Vision's Casey Kalamusa in Tokyo. He tells us what they found.
They went to one of the evacuation centers in Sendai yesterday and noted that there were kids sleeping on the ground with nothing but a cardboard box underneath them. There are notes taped to the walls everywhere of relatives looking for family members and friends, people who still haven't been found and still can't be reached by their mobile phones. The living conditions are obviously very difficult. It's approaching freezing temperatures in the north, and the power is all out. So in many cases, these children are now sleeping on the ground in near freezing temperature.
There are nearly 500,000 people living in shelters in Sendai. Christian organizations there are working together to help meet their most basic needs, such as food and water. I spoke with Ken Joseph of the Japan Emergency Team, who said supplies are slow in coming in because of concerns about radiation.
Just now, the different countries have started to evacuate their people because of the threat of radiation. So people are apparently afraid to come in to help. So there's a great bit of discouragement and fear here that everything's kind of happening at the same time.
Is Sendai in the radiation area?
Well, that was a big question. And I just now got back from the disaster center, and as we stood there, all the Chinese citizens of Sendai were lined up because the embassy had ordered them out of the country. And we went up to the different ones and asked why they were leaving, and they all said because of the radioactive, fallout coming to Sendai. The Japanese government hasn't announced anything like that. They've said it's only limited to 30 kilometers, and we're about maybe 200 kilometers from the area.
Ken Joseph says the immediate needs in Sendai are water, canned food, and blankets. Relief workers also need satellite phones since phone service is down.
A missionary from Quebec is among the earthquake victims in Japan. Andre LaChapelle was working in Japan as a member of the Society of Foreign Missionaries. Colleagues say the 76-year-old left immediately after the first quake hit to try and reach his own community, but the tsunami hit just as he arrived. LaChapelle's body was found outside of his car. Medical examiners have determined that he suffered from a heart attack, and it's unclear whether he was struck by the wave.
In other news, Saudi troops have moved into Bahrain. The country's capital is in a state of lockdown. Gulf allies are sending more than 1,000 troops into the region in an attempt to stop anti-government protests. They are concerned that the Bahraini unrest could spill over and lead to similar protests in their own countries. Bahraini opposition groups condemn the move. They call it an occupation and say that it pushes Bahrain towards, quote, undeclared war.
Back in the U.S., some conservative Republicans are opposing a new budget measure to keep the government running for 3 more weeks. The bill has to pass by Friday night to avoid a government shutdown. The conservatives say that Republicans and Democrats need to stop arguing over half measures and start focusing on the real problem of spending too much. Prices on everything from food to gas keep climbing. Even some vegetables doubled in price just a few weeks ago. That is some folks returning to the basics to save money. Ephraim Graham explains.
With prices on the rise along the grocery store aisles, business is blooming in home garden centers.
I see a higher influx of vegetables, edibles, due to the price fluctuations and the predictions that it's going to skyrocket. So we're looking at doing a very good business on any type of edibles.
Mark Heitschuh says in the past year, he's seen more people turning to gardening to save money. And you can start growing your own garden for as little as $10. There are actually items you can put in the ground today to start growing in your yard.
Onions, broccoli, cauliflower.
Those are cold crop foods, but with starter flats and seeds, you could start growing tomatoes, peppers, and zucchini inside on your kitchen counter.
We plant seeds to start little plants. Anybody can do it. Put them in a windowsill.
It will take 60 to 70 days for most plants to produce something you can eat. But more labor and more time will equal more savings and perhaps fewer trips to the ever-expensive grocery store. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
In other news, celebrities are signing a letter asking President Obama to support gay marriage. Obama has said that his views on the subject are evolving. Among the celebrities to sign the letter are Anne Hathaway, Martin Sheen, and NFL quarterback Scott Fujita. The advocacy group behind the letter says that several couples will deliver the letter to the White House in the spring.
Gay activists here in the U.S. are targeting another Christian ministry's iPhone app. You may remember Apple decided to pull the Manhattan Declaration iPhone app several months ago. That after pressure from gay activist groups. Critics had called the declaration anti-gay because it defends traditional marriage. Now, Change.org is targeting the iPhone app of Exodus International. Exodus is a ministry that helps Christians struggling with homosexuality. Change.org says Exodus's message is hateful and bigoted. For more on this story, I spoke with Exodus International spokesperson Jeff Buchanan on our morning show. He told us why he thinks the app is being targeted.
I don't want to speculate as to why people or what their intentions are regarding the app, but I think that primarily it just really represents the lack of tolerance and lack of true diversity that exists within various aspects of our culture. There are a lot of misconceptions about who we are and what our message is, and those misconceptions continue to be reiterated. And what we're wanting is simply the right and the opportunity to be able to have a diverse voice or have a equal representation on the iTunes platform and within Apple to represent our message of a biblical worldview of sexuality. We love those who struggle with same-sex attractions or who are gay, and we're simply wanting to communicate the message of Jesus and the message of Christ to them and help the church to become equipped in order to know how to redemptively respond to this issue.
To see the rest of this interview, log on to our website at cbnnews.com.
Coming up on CBN News Midday, how a little-watched contest in Iowa last November may change the way this country views its courts. Stay with us.
Have you ever had an idea for an invention or new product? Bill Schaefer, one of the inventors of Whammo's new Splash Wash, did. He came up with the idea while watching his children play one hot summer afternoon. Bill invented a car wash for kids. Ride through it, run through it. InventHelp submitted the Splash Wash to Whammo, the makers of childhood favorites like the Frisbee, Hula Hoop, and Slip and Slide. If you have an invention you would like to try to patent and submit to corporations and want free information that explains how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest invention company with sales offices in over 50 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Bill Schaefer made a financial gain on the Splash Wash. However, most inventions are not successful, and Bill's experience is not typical of what inventors can expect.
For your free inventor's information, call 1-800-260-7793. That's 1-800-260-7793.
I've fallen and I can't get up. I need help.
When you are home alone and have a bad fall where you cannot move, you are stuck in a very limited area. If you cannot reach a phone, you may lay helpless on the floor for hours or days, which can result in permanent incapacitation or death.
This waterproof pendant is my magic wand. To some of the paramedics, fire department, police, or my doctor, it contacts Life Alert.
When you have a heart attack like I did, and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me. I couldn't handle the alternative of going to a nursing home.
Thanks to Life Alert, you can live alone without ever being alone. And that's why I wear one.
New Life Alert Classic for seniors or Life Alert 50+.
Please call 1-800-586-0025 for a free brochure about Life Alert. That's 1-800-586-0025. Call us toll-free now at 1-800-586-0025. That number again, 1-800-586-0025.
Welcome back. A little-watched contest in Iowa last November may change the way America views its courts.
Iowans voted 3 of their Supreme Court justices off the bench. Analysts say they did it because those judges legalized gay marriage. Now the question is whether activists in other states will target their judges too.
What he joined together, no one should put us under.
Conservative activist Bob Vander Plaats led the campaign that removed 3 Iowa Supreme Court justices. Now he's firing up the base for next year's presidential caucuses and reminding voters of their judicial victory.
They gave us the retention vote for the people to hold a court in check if they saw necessary. The retention vote wasn't just to be a "that-a-boy, you're doing a good job, just keep going."
The vote has sparked nationwide debate over when voters should take judges off the bench and the balance between judicial independence and accountability to voters. But one area of total agreement, it was a historic vote. Only once before in California have voters removed multiple Supreme Court justices. Iowa's decision also marked a turning point in campaign finance. From 2000 to 2009, just $2.2 million was spent nationwide on retention elections. In 2010 alone, that number grew to $4.6 million, including close to $1 million in Iowa.
Judges are supposed to be accountable to the law and the Constitution, not to special interest groups, not to political forces.
When Iowans took 3 of their justices off the bench, it caught the attention of conservative activists around the country. Now many are wondering if they might begin to harness this newfound power to take other justices off the bench.
I think there's a lot of concern among observers that there will be more and more politics, more and more money pouring into states that have tried to insulate their selection of judges from politics and money by using retention elections.
Iowa's Chief Justice Mark Cady fears that judges may have to hit the campaign trail just to keep their job.
The more long-term worry and concern is that if retention elections are going to be transformed into political campaigns.
Cady says voters politicize the judiciary if they punish judges for a single ruling, like the one to legalize gay marriage. But conservatives say the judges were out of bounds, legislating from the bench.
I would say they politicize the courts. We just operate with the vehicle that we had available to us.
New Republican House Speaker Craig Paulson says the retention vote reflected overall dissatisfaction with government. In Iowa, voters not only rejected 3 justices, they said goodbye to their governor and turned the House over to the GOP.
All 3 branches of government, the electorate addressed in this last election cycle. And you know what? We're still functioning. We're moving forward. The state's going to end up stronger. That's the way the system was designed, and it's working.
In next year's general election, Iowans will decide whether to retain another justice involved in the ruling. In the meantime, there is pressure for a marriage amendment bill, which would give voters the final say. And with evangelical conservatives expected to dominate the caucuses, many presidential candidates may be forced to weigh in on the debate as well.
They're definitely interested in this. It's the perhaps overriding issue for them.
In 1996, U.S. Chief Justice William Rehnquist described judicial independence as one of the crown jewels of our system of government. What's at stake in Iowa, and perhaps other states, is how and when our judges become accountable to the people they serve.
Starting a garden doesn't have to be backbreaking. Not when you have the Mantis Tiller Cultivator. It does all the hard work for you. The Mantis Tiller weighs about 20 pounds. It's easy for anyone to handle. 3 convenient power options spin the patented tines deep into the soil. They dig down, cutting through the hardest clay and tangled weeds. They're so tough, they're actually guaranteed never to break. And on our 2-cycle model, Mantis offers the best start engine option. It's our easiest starting 2-cycle tiller ever. Tilling, weeding, and cultivating have never been easier. And now you can get this amazing Mantis Tiller Cultivator at huge savings. Order now, and you'll include a kickstand accessory, this border edger attachment, and free shipping. Use the Mantis for a full year, and if you're not delighted, return it for a prompt, no questions asked refund.
Call 1-800-707-2105 today for a free DVD and information kit. That's 1-800-707-2105.
Attention those on Medicare with diabetes. You may be eligible for an upgraded meter.
If you're tired of stabbing your fingertips to test your blood glucose, we have news that could change your life. If you're on Medicare with diabetes, then you need to know there's an alternative method for checking your blood glucose every day. You don't need to stab your fingertips anymore. The Embrace meter from Diabetes Care Club is easier to use and nearly painless. And the best news is that Diabetes Care Club would love to send you one of these meters. This method hurts less, and because you can see and hear your results, it may be easier to understand.
Your blood glucose reading is 89.
Call now to find out why. Nearly 250,000 patients have joined Diabetes Care Club. Membership is free, so is the call.
Call 1-800-833-8011.
Talk to Diabetes Care Club. You'll be glad you did.
Millions of Muslims believe that a savior known as the Mahdi will one day return to rescue humanity.
But before he can appear, they say Israel and America must be destroyed. As George Thomas reports, one leader wants to help make it happen.
Amidst the chants of death to America, death to Israel,
President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad recently announced to massive crowds in Iran that a new Middle East is emerging.
With the grace of God and thanks to the resistance of nations, the new Middle East will be realized soon without the American and the Zionist regimes.
He says the chaos in the region is organized by the Imam Mahdi. The final move has begun, Ahmadinejad said. We are in the middle of a world revolution managed by this deer, reference here to the 12th Imam. A great awakening is unfolding. One can witness the hand of Imam in managing it. To trace Ahmadinejad's messianic and end-time beliefs, you have to go to a mosque in the small village of Jamkaran, tucked in a corner of Iran. Behind this mosque, there is a well, and according to Ahmadinejad and millions of Shiite Muslims, out of this well will emerge one day their version of an Islamic savior. They call him the Mahdi, or the 12th Imam. Joel Rosenberg has written a book about it.
It was believed that this Islamic leader was going to come back one day at the end of time and bring justice to the earth.
Tens of thousands of Muslims visit the sacred well each night. The opening of the well is covered by a green-like metal box to prevent people from jumping in. Most of the time here is spent praying and kissing the metal box. Others scribble prayer requests to the Mahdi on pieces of paper that are then dropped into the well. Many, like this young boy with a flashlight, believe the Mahdi is actually hiding at the bottom of the well, reading those prayer requests.
I was looking into the well with my flashlight, hoping to see the Mahdi, but not tonight.
According to Shia scholars, the Mahdi, a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, vanished in the middle of the 9th century.
Shia Muslims expect the 12th Imam to return at the end of history, at the end of days, when there's a time of great genocide, warfare, chaos in the world.
Sunnis, who make up the majority of Muslims in the world, have different views on the Mahdi. For instance, they believe the Mahdi is yet to be born and will descend from Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad. Shia Muslims believe the 12th Imam is alive and will reappear before the Day of Judgment. Brother Wahid, a Muslim convert to Christianity, hosts a popular television show seen across the Middle East.
Absolutely. All Muslims are required to believe in the end times. Despite these theological differences between Shia and Sunnis on the Islamic Messiah, belief in the last days is mandatory.
Enter Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Since becoming the president of Iran back in 2005, Ahmadinejad has emerged as the Mahdi's most influential follower. In almost all his speeches, whether at home in Iran or traveling abroad, the president begs Allah to hasten the return of the Mahdi.
O God, hasten the arrival of Imam Mahdi and grant him good health and victory and make us his followers.
Ahmadinejad is reportedly tied to a radical Islamic society in Iran that believes man can hasten the appearance of the Mahdi
by annihilating two countries, Israel, which they call the Little Satan, and the United States, which they call the Great Satan.
Shias and Sunnis believe the end days will be marked by apocalyptic times.
Just before the Mahdi returns, there will be chaos throughout the world. Wars, famines, and floods will ravage the earth. But when the Mahdi comes, he will bring peace and justice.
Muslims believe that when the Mahdi returns, he will be accompanied by Jesus Christ, also known in Islam as the Prophet Isa.
They believe that Jesus will physically return to this world. He will kill the pigs, break the crosses, kill the Jews, and defeat the Antichrist.
But until that day comes, Ahmadinejad, who sees himself as a kind of John the Baptist figure, is telling the world to prepare.
He believes the end of time is near, that the Islamic Messiah is coming, and the way to accelerate or hasten the 12th Imam's arrival and reign on earth is to destroy Judeo-Christian civilization as we know it.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Coming up, some things you just can't put a price tag on. What this athlete did after thieves broke in and stole her Olympic gold medal.
Millions of women worldwide love Bare Minerals.
This is smooth, it's nice, and it covers. I like that.
Only Bare Minerals looks like beautiful bare skin, while it covers whatever you want it to. And now you can get our latest kit with our totally new, totally spill-proof Click Lock Go foundation. For over 75% off retail, our new kit comes with Bare Minerals foundation in the shade that's just right for you. Warmth for a healthy glow. Mineral Veil, the ultimate finishing touch. And Bare Minerals Flawless Application Brush. Call now and get 3 full-size gifts worth $57.95 free. Purchased separately, you'd spend over $120. Our original Get Started kit was a great deal at 2 payments of $29.99. But now you can get all this for just 1 payment of $29.99. Save over $90 and get a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call 1-800-376-4174. Ask how you can receive this handy compact. Call 1-800-376-4174 now.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Even with years of training, an athlete's chances of being presented with an Olympic gold medal are small.
The chance of being presented with the same gold medal twice, even smaller. But that was the case for Olympic skeleton sledder Tristan Geisler. Geisler won the gold medal in the 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City. Earlier this year, a pair of thieves broke into her apartment, stealing her prized possession. But she was recently presented with the medal for the second time. Police returned the stolen medal that had been missing in January. This time, the gold had a few unexpected marks.
Most Olympic medals, if they're lost or stolen, you don't have this kind of a happy ending. I don't know if they were trying to see if they wanted to see exactly how much of it was gold or whatnot, so they just cut a little bit down on the corner there.
Police believe the thieves might have unsuccessfully tried to sell the Olympic medal. From now on, Geisler plans to keep the gold in a safety deposit box. Too bad.
Sounds like good advice there to keep it in the safety deposit box. I wonder if they would have issued her maybe a new gold medal if it wasn't recovered.
I don't know.
The Olympic Committee. Who knows?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, she earned it, that's for sure. That's all for this edition of CBN News Midday. Of course, you can find information on all the stories you've seen right here at cbnnews.com.
You can also stay up to date with CBN through Facebook and Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time.
Yeah, have a great day.
Starting a garden doesn't have to be backbreaking. Not when you have the Mantis Tiller Cultivator. It does all the hard work for you. The Mantis Tiller weighs about 20 pounds. It's easy for anyone to handle. 3 convenient power options spin the patented tines deep into the soil. They dig down, cutting through the hardest clay and tangled weeds. They're so tough, they're actually guaranteed never to break. And on our 2-cycle model, Mantis offers the fast start engine option. It's our easiest starting 2-cycle tiller ever. Tilling, weeding, and cultivating have never been easier. And now you can get this amazing Mantis Tiller Cultivator at huge savings. Order now, and we'll include a kickstand accessory, this border edger attachment, and free shipping. Use the Mantis for a full year, and if you're not delighted, return it for a prompt, no questions asked refund.
Call 1-800-707-2105 today for a free DVD and information kit. That's 1-800-707-2105.
Introducing the all-new Gizmos Bible Adventures from Superbook.tv. This delightful full-color 30-day devotional is filled with fun puzzles and activities you can do with your children, and it's absolutely free. Kids will love finding out how to grow as a Christian from Chris, Joy, and Gizmo, their Superbook friends. Parents, please visit Superbook.tv and click on the Gizmos Bible Adventures link to download this booklet today. It can help build a wonderful life for your kids.